So there was one thing, the last piece of weird news. I didn't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. Back in 2017, Gatorade was banned and fined $300,000 for bad-mouthing water in a video game.
Toy Story?
Gatorade.
Toy Story? This is awkward. This is really bad on how I actually thought that wasn't faked or edited. I literally thought we were talking about Toy Story. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That's so bad.
Aaron, sometimes I wonder, sir,
Where's my brain at?
how all that happens. But regardless of how that happens, I'm going to wait until you finish opening up that bag.
Oh, no, I didn't want to open it. I just wanted to take it out of the container. Why? I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
It's like a little kid. Oh, my goodness.
That's it. That's all I wanted to do.
Well, welcome to another episode of User Words Podcast, where Aaron will spend the episode taking bags out of cans for no reason, not even to open them.
Nope.
So if you hear random crinkles, that's why. You and, yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. But anyways, welcome to another lovely Tuesday in November, or Tuesday in Movember, I should say.
Yeah.
Where Aaron is contemplating how much of his face he is going to shave for the cause.
Yeah. Jeez. Gosh. I feel like I would actually do it.
You would actually do it if I
But-
donated 500.
Or if... Gosh dang, but why do you have to do it? Can't we just raise money for it?
Because I want to guarantee the shave.
Oh, I know you do.
I want to guarantee the naked mole man right before winter hits.
Oh, my God, I know. And it'll take like a month just to slowly grow back in.
Yep.
Oh, that's painful.
You know what's really painful, and I don't know if you've ever had them before, hair slivers. Those suck.
I bet a hair sliver would probably be worse than, because I've gotten like a lot of like hook slivers from like Velcro and stuff, and that is super irritating too.
Yeah, but get like
Just the
like
fine little
because
piece of hair.
my hair is not as full and gorgeous and luxurious as Aaron's over there on his face. Mine is a lot more patchy on the sides of my face. So sometimes when I rub my hands over the side of my
get a little
face,
prick.
I get a little hair that just sticks into my finger, and like I literally have to go in there with tweezers and pull it out because it like. And if you don't get, like, if it goes in too deep, it's a very painful splinter in your finger. Hair splinters are no joke.
Dude, I'll have to wait till I get one.
I'm sure I can provide you with one. I'll find the next one that gives me a splinter. I'll pull it out, save it,
Just
and
give
then
it to me?
I see you next. I'll go, come here, and slide that right into your finger, and so you respond.
Feel pain.
Enjoy. But regardless of fact, it's another wonderful Tuesday here in November. And I'm joined once again with Mr. Aaron Johnson as we celebrate the wonderfulness that is November, the wonderfulness that is the month of Thanksgiving, the wonderfulness that is, I don't know, something, fall. There we go. Someone in my apartment complex in the little like quad area where I have, my door is at, apparently they wanted to make everyone basic, so they put in an air freshener of pumpkin spice. Nice. So it smells like going into
Starbucks.
a Starbucks whenever I try to go into my apartment because it's, and I'm just like, seriously, people, do we have to all smell like basic white girls nowadays?
It's the pumpkin spice time, man.
You know what? I bet you I should ask Amy. I should go, hey, Amy, if I go into your house right now, what scent does Josh have it at?
Pumpkin spice, baby.
Because I was reminded this past week just how
basic he is.
White he is.
How white? Yeah.
Phrases you never expect to hear when you go to pick up your dog from daycare.
Mama.
Hey, Mama, are you ready? Did you hear your daddy? And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Huh? That was the person talking to my dog.
Yes.
Apparently, my dog's nickname at the daycare is Mama. Which if you're just as confused as Josh was with that statement, in Hispanic cultures especially, mama can be like a female, typically a family member. So it could be a wife, it could be a daughter, it could be a cousin, it could be whatever, It could literally be your mother, your actual mama. So like my uncle, his name was Mario. When he was alive, he would call his wife Mama. He'd like, come over, Mama. Okay, so that very common analogy. Okay, and so I said, I was like, things you don't expect to hear when you're going in to pick up your dog from daycare. And Josh was like, what? I don't get it. Aaron's like, oh, I know this one. And I was shocked. If I could insert a video, a picture here, it would be surprise Pikachu face. That's what it would be right there. I was like, wait, Aaron knew a reference? What? Oh my goodness.
It's like, hey, she's got to be talking about the dog.
I mean, who else would she be talking about? Yeah, so but things you don't expect, like I said, when you go and pick up your dog. Hey, Mama, you all ready? Did you hear your daddy?
Did you hear your daddy?
And even that's kind of a weird phrasing. I'm like,
at least nowadays.
Yeah. Because daddy can mean so many different things.
A lot of things today. I guess for a long time meant a lot of things. It's just now more like, I guess, noticed.
I think it's more commonplace known, and it's still cringe to me.
Oh, absolutely.
100% agree. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're not going to talk about Hispanic linguistic practices because, we don't have enough time in the world for that one. The Hispanics, we do some weird things. And I will tell you this right now. If you ever call me Latinx, Latinx, or whatever you want to do that, I'm going to have some words. I'm tired of that phrase because no one who is actually of Hispanic origin uses Latinx.
That. Yeah.
We understand our language. Our language, we know, regardless of what your feelings say is gendered, it's Latino or Latina. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. So, but regardless of fact.
Hashtag.
Stop. Hashtag sorry, no, I'm not.
yeah, there you go.
Regardless, that's not what is on the board today. On the board today, and this is so on a call that I had with Mr. Aaron Johnson earlier today, we were talking about something real quick when he called me out of the blue, surprising me. And I was like, hey, did you look at the list? I was like, I put something on there specifically targeting you. And he goes, I know. He goes, I feel targeted.
I felt it.
And then I was like, wait, what one did you think I put on there for you? He goes, dealing with temptation. I'm like, no, that wasn't for you. He goes, oh, I'm found out. And then all of a sudden, I was like, no. So no,
what's going on?
I put on this one. I put on for you, imposter syndrome. But you were like, oh no, dealing with temptation. I was like, okay, there's a story here, and
clearly,
obviously, and we had a conversation off air about what happened. Why he thought I was bringing that up, and that wasn't even in my mind when I made that. And to be honestly fair with you, Aaron, okay, that's a good thing in a way that you thought that, and here's why. It means your conscience isn't seared, and that you were like, did he actually? You were thinking like, did Paul have a question about something that might have happened because of the events and that? And you weren't just going, oh, I don't care, or I'm just shrugging off. It was, your conscience was still there where it was like, oh, am I being questioned? Am I being asked about this? Is this targeting me over what happened? So in a way that is good because you're not just like, whatever, go away. I don't care. I'm so cool. I don't care.
I do what I want. Yeah.
So dealing with temptation. Dealing with temptation is kind of a wide variety of things because there is temptation all around us 24/7, 365, whether we like it or not. And if we don't care about it, or if our consciousness are seared enough, it is there available for us to do what we want, when we want, with whom we want, and forever how much we want to spend and want. I don't know if that last part has a want in it, but I'm going to throw a want on it because I wanted all those phrases to end with wants.
Because I want it that way.
Exactly. So, temptation in 2021 is kind of like saying, hey, I'm a fish. Is there enough water around me? Because, oh my goodness, it is everywhere. And I'm going to be honest with you 100%. In there, you can disavow or say yes or no or remain silent on any of these. So you are, because none of these I'm like saying directly at you, but I'm throwing them out. And if you want to comment, you may. That is up to you.
Okay.
Okay. Like I said, temptation is out there 24/7. I mean, especially as like a single guy, you go out there and it is everywhere. Let's be honest. Single guys, and I'm talking from the single guy's perspective because guess what? I'm a guy.
Dude.
I'm not a girl. I can't talk from the single female perspective. No. I can't even pretend to. So I'm not going to. So I'm talking from the single guy perspective, okay?
Good job.
But from the single guy perspective, you know, there's a few things going on here, especially like in your 20s, early 30s. You're thinking about a few things. You're probably thinking about, hey, how do I find a person to settle down with for the rest of my life? What's my legacy going to look like? What am I going to do with kids and that? You're probably looking like, hey, is this friendship potentially something more, or is it just a friendship? You're looking for these things, and obviously things going around you. You also see, sex sells for everything. You want to buy a house. Here, let's have sexy girls sell the house. Why?
Because it works.
You want pizza? Here, let's have the supermodel to sell the pizza. What? Why? No, obviously some things are going to lend themselves to it, like sporting events, like you have your cheerleaders and all that. You're going to see that regardless. You know, your movies and TVs, as much as I want to say, hey, I don't want to see that, it's going to be there.
It's there.
I don't want to see it, but it's going to be there regardless if I want to see it or not, okay? And that's just inundated around. You have apps such as Tinder in that where they encourage, you know, the hookups. And then in the, how do you say this? Like in the LGBTQ blah 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 space, whatever, they have their own apps for explicitly for hookups, anonymous sex, even like I'm not even going to go into it. It's encouraged, it's advertised. People make a lot of money on advertisements of sex. Sex sells. I was scrolling through some news articles the other day from not BuzzFeed. Wow, I almost said BuzzFeed. Not BuzzFeed. The Blaze. Okay, conservative website, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
That's where like Steven Crowder and all that streams, right?
Right.
So I was reading some articles from there, right? They had ads served to them by a third party. So no idea. So you'll probably see this in my weekly report, okay?
Oh, okay.
And I'm scrolling through and all of a sudden I'm seeing an ad. I'm like, what the?
What is this?
It's like, learn a new sex position today. And it actually had an animated, like, two people in a sex position. I was like, where did this come from? I was like, block all ads from this sender. I don't want them. The only thing that had changed on my phone recently was that I had moved from turning private relay on to off. It's a thing in iOS, so you don't have to worry about it. So that was the only thing that changed. I'm like, what the heck? Where did these ads come from? I'm like, yes, they're supposed to be based on my browsing history, but guess what's not in my browsing history? Ta-da! So I was like, where? I was like, so I marked it irrelevant and then block all ads from this person. I don't want to see them again. But I will randomly get ads like that. And it's funny or not funny. I don't know which one. I will only get them on my phone.
Yeah.
That's primarily why I have that software installed on there because let me tell you something. These phones.
Yeah, they suck.
Well, they're great for communication, okay?
Yes,
let's not beat around the bush there. But they are so accessible to everyone to take with you wherever you go. Whether that means you go into your bedroom, the shower, wherever, they will go with you. They're water resistant nowadays. So guess what? You don't care if you take in the shower and things happen. And yeah, you end up with an email to Aaron and Josh saying, hey, guess what Paul just did? And then they go, hey, Paul, what were you looking at? Yeah, what's going on? So, there's sexual temptation everywhere. Let's be honest. It's unfortunately, sex sells is a very strong and good motto. I mean, businesses have dug into that and said, hey, guess what? Sex sells. We can do that. We can make this happen. You have, what was it? Like athletes, like especially like female athletes selling soda or, some food. And it's just because, oh, look, hot model selling something. Ta-da, people will buy it. You haven't gone to, but especially in the tech industry, thankfully it's calmed down now, but you would used to go to certain conferences and they'd have what's called booth babes.
Really?
Like I said, thankfully that has calmed down a lot now. It didn't happen at all conferences, but there were certain ones that you knew if you went there, that was gonna happen. And they really wanted the hot young women to promote the booth and get people to come into the booth because they knew if they got that, they would get people to buy their product. Sex sells.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
It does.
Now, there's other temptation other than that.
Yeah.
There's other temptations. There's temptations of, look at what the Ten Commandments says, about things. There's temptations to just lay around and waste your life and be slothful, spend all day playing video games. I'm not saying video games in and of themselves are sinful. I'm saying the concept of, hey,
this is all I want to do.
All day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hey, for a whole week, I'm just going to play video games. That's it. Now, it's one thing if you're like, you've been working for,
a long time,
most of the year, and this is your one vacation of the year, and you're like, I'm going to take a break for a couple of days. That's one thing.
Right.
But if you're spending all your free time, again, last month we talked, you only have 16% of your year as free time. If you're spending all of that on video games,
that's bad.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to enjoy some time playing games. Those are actually good things. Those are de-stressors. But what is your main focus on? Where is your time and your energy going? And then are you stealing people's debit cards of $750 worth of money for stupid RuneScape?
Wasn't me.
Yeah, I know. There's a temptation to steal and everything. Yeah. There's a lot going on, but a lot of those temptations people talk about all the time, these external temptations, these temptations that we see of the advertising or spending our time, but we don't hear a lot of the temptations of like, hey, what's up, girl?
Yeah. How you doing?
Let's be honest here. Most relationships, I will say probably except for the arranged marriages, okay? So, except for those, there's going to be some sort of physical attraction going on. Because if there's no physical attraction going on, the chances of you even starting off on a date is probably
low.
Yeah, nil. Unless it's, my daddy just sold me to you. In that case,
this is it.
As I said, it's usually like that. There are some other cases, but those are the rare extremes that I'm not going to go into right now. Fair. But what happens when hey, you and the girl are on the date? It gets a little bit more than maybe you were anticipating, and the opportunity opens itself up. Let's say,
right,
and both of you are agreeing, obviously, because hey, wonderful litigious society that we're in, but things happen, and it's like you're like I'm. Your body, your mind, like physically, you want to move on to the next step, which sex or whatever. But you're like, no. That's not what God commands me to do. That God said, no, save myself for marriage. And even that, sadly, that's becoming something that even in the Christian church is becoming like, oh, you don't have to do that. It's weird.
it's just, it's so common nowadays. It's okay. Like, you're forgiven,
Yeah,
it's not that big a deal.
sure. It's not that big a deal. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
No, I don't buy that at all.
Well, okay, that's good.
Because what does it say in the New Testament about continuously sinning?
I guess, well, maybe, I don't know. I wasn't ready for that part of the question.
It's in Romans.
Oh gosh, dang it! I was just kind of messing around with some stuff in Romans.
What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who died to sin still live in it? Do you not know that all of us who have been baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? We were buried, therefore, with him by baptism into death, in order that, just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, we too might walk in newness of life. The first part of that grabs right into that. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? And what this is really talking to is people who are saying, well, hey, yeah, I've been saved. Hey, party on.
Yeah.
Do whatever.
Yeah.
In this case, and don't get me wrong, I am fully sympathetic to younger teen guys, teenagers, 20s, early 30s. Hormones are raging, man. Hormones do crazy things. That's that natural desire to want to go ahead and engage in physical activities.
Yeah.
Leave it at that way, at that phrasing. So I'm not saying it's easy. It takes a lot of discipline for guys. It takes a lot of discipline for people, period.
Yeah.
To be able to control those urges and those desires, because those desires are strong. They're natural. That doesn't mean they're evil.
No.
God created sex.
What?
For within the confines of marriage.
Yes.
So and because I've heard people who have tried to say, well, sex is evil, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, God created for within the confines of marriage. He didn't create something evil. He created something that's kind of beautiful. It's kind of merging of people. Now, I'll be honest. Guess what? I'm not on the left side of this here. And when I say the left side of this, I mean the, hey, haven't had sex side of things.
Right.
But I understand the attraction, the appeal, the desire. I understand why people would want to, and I also understand how it could be beautiful. That being said, I don't know that from experience. Okay, I'll give you that. But that's why there are people then who go, well, I'm saved. I can do what I want, kind of, right? Yeah, they just go, oh, please forgive me. La 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 la. Let me be washed again in the blood. Okay, we're good. Next.
Yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be. That's why in Romans it says that. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound, that we may have more and more grace and grace and grace and grace? And it goes, by no means, how can we who died to sin still live in it? If we are the ones who are saying that we have accepted Christ as our Savior, we are supposed to be continually dying to sin, taking up our cross, living this life that is dedicated to Him, then how can we continue to sin is the problem.
How could you?
So
yeah. Well, I'd seen it originally. I was wondering if you can go, because I know it talks about even as far as sexual temptation goes, we're even told to flee from it.
Right.
It seems it's a very important area of sin to be cautious about.
Yes.
It's not one to be taken lightly.
So what you're talking about is 1 Corinthians 6:18. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthew even talks about this. Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that you may not enter temptation. Obviously, this is Jesus talking to his disciples, but you can kind of use it in a way. I understand it theologically. It may not be the strongest argument for it because, again, Jesus is talking right to his disciples on things. But he says, watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
2 Timothy 2:22. So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. It is awfully hard to have a pure heart
Yeah. With
all the junk that's available on the internet. To be able to, you can't have a pure heart and then the next 5 minutes after someone leaves, to go, oh, bye-bye, go open your browser and go pornhub.com. It doesn't work. Because what you are observing, what you are putting in with your eyes, what you are consuming, what you are listening to, that feeds your heart.
Yeah.
We feed our bodies, our stomachs, through our mouth. We feed our heart with what we see, read, hear. Mm-hmm. And people don't think about it that way. People think about it, oh, it's just a video game. Oh, it's just a video.
It won't affect me.
I'm just enjoying myself watching this video for 5 minutes real quick. Yeah. They don't realize the damage they're doing long term. Mm-hmm. Young guys do not realize the damage they are doing long term to themselves, consuming that much pornography. Me and you have talked, and I've shared the damage that has done to me personally long term. The things that I can still recall from my brain without even a second thought, it just comes. Yeah. And I don't want it to.
Yeah.
But guess what? I filled my head with a bunch of crap when I was younger, when I was way, way dumber.
Yeah. It doesn't even, because I don't know, for me, it doesn't take much, I guess, as far as to like really have just a negative impact, I guess, on your life, I suppose. Because even I remember, oh gosh, this is like years ago. This is, I think, in like high school. I remember having a talk with good old Brewer when we were friends.
Okay.
We're still friends. But like I remember at one point talking to him, I was like, I feel like I've just looked at so much. Where it's like, well, one, it's like I guess, made it hard to, I guess, approach women, I suppose, or girl, whatever.
Okay.
And then even like, I don't know, it was to the point where it was like I felt so disgusted of myself to the point where it was like I don't even deserve to be able, like, talk to any of them, and then just shy away. I guess I don't know, for me it really messed with me thinking I could even interact with girls and stuff like that. Well, and just also just not looking at them as some kind of object versus an actual person kind of thing too.
And that is a big thing that they're seeing in some of the studies, is how the younger a person is when they start ingesting pornography, and that the more likely they are to see their partner not so much as a person but as an object.
Yeah, which is sick.
And it does turn into some crazy things. But these things are going on all around us. And the thing is, like, we're always saying, "Oh, it's so bad right now. It's so bad right now," right? Well, look at in the time of the Romans. So when Christianity was really just starting to get off, and do things, you had, especially in April. Actually, April seemed to be the month of this. Whatever, they had what was called. Let me make sure I got this right here. What they call sacred prostitution.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Why?
That the phrasing that just happened from you, I don't know how to do that. But anyways, so most of this happened in April. It was some ancient Roman religious observances, and they were in honor of Fortuna Virilis. They had the Festival of Venus, and they were essentially prostitutes that were part of a religious ceremony. It was just how they did things on that. So you got to remember some of the stuff that was happening that especially was written in the book of Romans was in reference to some of these things going on in that time, these religious kind of things going on. That doesn't make it any less relevant to today. Because in a way, if you really think about how it is nowadays, people aren't so much worshiping at the temple of Venus. They're worshiping, and when I say worshiping, they're spending their money, attention, devotion to Pornhub.com, to whatever the cam site of the day is.
Or female service.
So they're spending their money and attention. And when you think about what worship is, what is that? That's your time, that's your devotion, that's your resources, that's your dedication to that, whatever that is. Because you can worship a lot of things. That's why God says, I am a jealous God. I want you to worship me only. Because he knows we're going to stray to whatever gives us pleasure sometimes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those things around in the world. There's a lot of those things immediately available to us, left and right. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, politically or whatever. Guess what? You're all being bombarded with it the same.
Yeah.
How do you stand up to that in a day like this?
It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. There's no simple solution. There are some things you can do, but it's not a simple solution.
No.
I'm going to ask you this first, Aaron, and then I'm going to comment afterwards because I want your thoughts.
Uh-oh.
I want your uninterrupted thought flow.
Oh, no. Okay.
In this world of temptation, and I'm talking all sorts of temptation. I'm talking sexual, I'm talking food, I'm talking gluttony, I'm talking slothfulness, I'm talking all this stuff.
Yeah.
What are things that you have found effective to help you?
Help me.
Against falling into those temptation patterns. And I'll say this. Obviously, and I'm making an assumption here, but I'm thinking it's probably the right assumption. Because I would have to say this assumption is the same for me, okay?
Okay.
The assumption is that I'm making here is that, unfortunately, you haven't gotten it right 100% of the time.
Oh, heck no.
Because I know I haven't, and if you have it, then we need to talk about something else.
Yeah, right. I need to be giving you lessons. Oh, yeah, absolutely not. And it's funny, because as soon as you mentioned food or gluttony, just as a side thing. So going to that August Burns Red show in October, we went to eat at Founders Brewery, and I had a sandwich called The Glutton. And I just started cracking up reading that. I was like, you know what, if I actually did kind of feel bad finishing it, both physically and just personally. Because I was like, I just kind of just gave into this. But that was like my meal for the day. But anywho, yeah. This is, I guess the one thing that has helped me, there's a couple things. One, there's I guess recently is literally just praying instantaneously of having some sort of temptation. Like when it comes up, just right then and there, be fast to pray and ask for help, especially if you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. But then evil, worse. This is, I always kind of thought it'd be so funny, but like if you actually like legitimately flee a situation and just get away from it. I just always imagine myself personally just over dramatically just running away and screaming and being afraid. But yeah, don't do that. Just literally get away. Get away from a situation. Otherwise, other things that would help. Well, one, as we have, is that ever accountable tool for our electronic devices. Just to have that extra, I guess, well, I don't know, what would you call it?
Accountability.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to, like, it's like an extra layer of, like...
Oh,
so,
an extra safeguard?
Yeah. So there's that. It's been reaching out to friends. And I think for me, one thing that I really struggle with is isolation and wanting to just kind of face things on my own. And one, just be lazy. That's a big one. So, and it was, man, and I'm thankful for my good pal Lucas. He had pointed out a verse in Proverbs to me that I guess kind of made me, I just opened my eyes a little bit, and was one I actually decided to memorize. And so it was, I didn't say it, but talked about it earlier today off air. But it's Proverbs 18:1 and 2, where it's whoever isolates himself seeks his own desires. He breaks out against all sound judgment. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. And I was just like, dang. So Lucas, yeah, he'd shared that verse with me. And I was thinking, man, as I've been separating myself from other people, I do, like, you see, I guess, like, to stop and look back, I'm like, man, I really have just been going after whatever I want, whatever makes me feel good in the moment, kind of thing. Whether that be drinking, porn, just, I don't know, attention, I don't know, whatever it is. Comfort food. Yeah, it's so much easier to go to that stuff and then get caught up in your own way of thinking and not have any, no truth to combat what you're thinking and make you realize what you're doing to yourself, one. So, yeah. Having friends, reaching out to friends that are willing to, as you shared with me, Proverbs, was it 27? 27:5? To rebuke. We're talking about rebuking and stuff like that. Like, having friends that will actually call you out on stuff is a huge thing. But then it's taking that action too. Yeah, that's about all I got, I think, for right now.
Okay. Like I said, I was trying
I like prayer, though.
Okay, you like prayer, though. Like I said, I was trying to not interrupt your flow of thought, to not to change anything.
You didn't even interrupt my sneezes.
Exactly. I want you to go all in, but I thought you brought up a few good things on this.
Okay.
First off, I would love to see the flea temptation one of these days.
The which one? Oh, the flea.
I would love to. No! I would love to see you yell no and run out of a restaurant. Well, I have that on recording. Maybe one of these days I will have to set that up. I love that. Like, is this overselling it? What's going on?
Well, it's funny. But, what?
As I say, but the Bible says that's not an overselling, because it's like,
you're supposed to take it seriously.
Well, yes, you're supposed to take it very seriously. But the Bible even says, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It's better that you pluck it out than go to hell.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean,
But don't go making yourselves blind now, though. Literally.
yes. Now, you got to realize when you're dealing with the Bible, there are multiple types of writing styles, right?
Yes.
Not. This is where I'm treading it carefully here. It is the literal Word of God, but not all of it is to be taken as a literal step by step. What I mean by that is some of it is allegory, some of it is story, some of it is advice, some of it is wisdom, and some of it is literal take step by step. Okay? I'm not 100% sure. Now, that being said, I could be completely wrong about this, but the fact that it's in the middle of a parable kind of gives me a little clue as to the context of how step by step serious it should be taken, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because so this is in Matthew 18. It's in the parable, and the section, the label in the Bible says temptations to sin. Perfect, right?
Right.
This is the ESV version. Woe to the world for temptations to sin, for it is necessary that temptations come, but woe to the one by whom the temptation comes. That's an interesting way to put it. And if your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame than with 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into the eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than with the 2 eyes to be thrown into the hell of fire. So, that's right there. And then they go on to talk about the parable of the lost sheep. Then the next one, if your brother sins against you, and then the parable of the unforgiving servant. Not going to go over all those, but if you're interested, Matthew 18 is where they're at. So I don't think that should be taken as a literal, hey, Aaron, you just went and, I don't know, stole. Let's say you stole something, cut off your hand. Now, there are some countries that actually do believe in that and actually will cut off your hand, but that's not what I believe it's getting there. Now, could I be wrong on that? I hope I'm not wrong, but could I be? I'm open for it, But since it's in the middle of like this list of parable stuff,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with how you interpret parables. Parables usually don't go for literal one-to-one. You don't literally see people with pig hands and pig feet.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, what do you do with your mind when you just use your brain to sin?
Yeah.
You don't blow that out.
Yeah.
Well, at least, I hope not. That'd be messed up.
But what it's getting at is the fact that take this very seriously. Take this seriously because of the fact that this is something so damaging. Now, in the way of, you could take this a whole other way. If you constantly use your phone to watch pornography, get rid of it. Or lock it down to such a fact that you can't use anything without someone, having to authorize it. Maybe lock down the web browsing so you can't do it, and the only thing you can use are the apps.
Right. Well, yeah, I was thinking, excuse me. Take steps that would help correct you from making, from sinning.
Mm-hmm.
And then just take it one step at a time from there. Like, I guess, just for how we have the ever accountable thing. If that wasn't good enough and I still didn't care, I'm like, well, I don't care if Paul and, Josh see that I'm looking at this stuff. I want to do it anyway. And I keep doing it. Well, then we got to take another step as to, hey, we need to, stop you from looking at this kind of thing.
Right.
That's when there's one guy that I knew who he was dealing with, pornography and stuff like that. And he literally just brought his desktop in, brought it into like this Bible study and said, here, this is causing me, I'm looking at stuff I shouldn't be on this thing. I'm bringing it here and I'm leaving it here until I feel like I'm at a point where I can take it back. And that's what he did. And it stayed there for a long time. So it's like, it's, yeah, it's good to, I guess, to some people, it's good to be extra about it, I guess.
It's good to be extra about it. Yeah, in your terminology of your generation, yes, I agree.
Right.
It's a little sus.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. It's to take the extra step, to go farther than, I don't know, than maybe other people would go. Some people don't have to go that far with it, I guess, But that's the other thing too. Then is, like, for me, yeah, maybe I need to literally just get rid of my phone. But so it's like,
And that's hard to do. That's very countercultural in this time.
yes, and the thing is, and this is, for me, I'm thinking on the other side, if someone decides to do that, the thing that makes me really upset is the people that, one, point that out and make someone feel, I guess, well, excuse me, they point that out and make someone feel bad about what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like shaming them, even though they're doing something that would please the Lord in that regard.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that really grinds my gears, so to say. Yeah. But
and it is hard to, kind of, especially right now in this world, which is so connected with technology, everything. You have Facebook now creating this meta for the metaverse sort of going forward, where that's going to rely on a lot more technological connectivity. And to say, hey, I got to be careful about what I'm doing because I want to keep myself from going to these things I don't want to go. It seems people go, are you crazy? You need what?
For me, I do need to. It's
they're like,
geez.
No, explore yourself sexually. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Let's go back to where my foundation in my life is and what I'm building on. Because what that foundation is going to direct what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is going to determine what I'm doing now is going to determine what I'm going to do in the future, which is also ultimately going to determine, in essence, how, this sounds weird to say, how successful or not I'll be able to serve God in the future, because, God does have, a lot of grace, a lot of patience, but at some point it's going to be like, hey, you come on.
Right.
And that may come in the form of a little like hand slap or something, but at the same time, God's like, needs to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. You don't know when your time is up. It could be up tomorrow. It could be up today. It could be up whenever. And this is something so serious that God sent his son to die for us. And yet we go, I'm home alone. No one will know.
Integrity.
Yeah, integrity. Huh? How about that?
Yeah.
So that was one thing. The accountability thing that you touched on, yes. The last thing that you touched on that I really liked, community. You have to do it with other people. Mm-hmm. Trying to go alone lasts only so long.
Yeah.
Trying to go alone and say, I will not screw up and do this. Oh, look at that. We are easily distracted by things. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about, sexually explicit images. I'm talking about we're distracted by, I don't want to do this alone. We're distracted by the fact that maybe there's this other thing that, hey, that's a new game. That's great. And, you don't have anyone holding you accountable. How will they know what I'm doing? Mm. God knows. Mm-hmm. But guess what? He's not over your shoulder able to go, tip, tap, tap. Hey, what's up? What are you doing?
See, that's, oh, man. This whole, gosh, dang it. I feel like there's like been moments like that though for me where like if I had just spent my time, spending some time on the good old web, looking at the good old porno stuff. Afterwards, or like either like while looking at it or just being done looking at it, I'll get a message or a call from either someone from church or yeah. And as soon as that happens, I'm like, oh no. It's just like any time that like ever happened, I was like, hey God.
Exactly. But that doesn't always happen.
No, it
to
doesn't.
be honest.
No.
But
that's just how I like thought of it when that would happen. But
yeah, but that's good that you recognize that.
yeah.
It's easier to go and do what you want alone than it is to do it with community.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
yeah, together you're stronger.
Yes, together you are stronger. I remember a thing what was it? It was there are no old cowboys. That was one of the youth group camps.
No, old or lone?
Old alone cowboys. That's what it was.
Okay.
No, old alone cowboys. And the concept of that was you have to do this with a group. You cannot live the Christian life solo and survive, because there are going to be, no matter what you may think, no matter how hard you pray, no matter how much the Bible you read, no matter how much you turn away from temptation, there are going to be things that come up that are hard. There are going to be things where you are tested, where you are tempted, where you fail, and where you need to be brought back up. And to do that alone is nigh impossible. So there's a lot of temptation out there, just waiting. I think even the Bible says sin is crouching at your door. It's there. It's always wanting to come in. And your brain is so easily distracted. At least mine is. It's like, ooh, yeah, let me go look at that. Oh, wait, nope. And that can be triggered through a memory, a thought, a random image that flashes into my head from nowhere. That could be triggering from that. And then all of a sudden, my productive time all of a sudden travels down this black hole of, hey, it's 2 a.m. What happened? I have been there so many times. I can't tell you the number of hours I had wasted when I was younger in my life, Aaron. Many, many hours where it'd be like, hey, look, it's a Saturday. It's 8 a.m. It's Sunday, 4 a.m. What?
When did this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed to admit that that was the case. But at the same time, I realized that was the case, not is the case
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
I have grown from that, but I also at the same time realized that there are things that, as painful as they are to, recollect and kind of murmur about, it has helped me with some people when they're like, hey, this is what's going on. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can understand this fully. I get it fully. I understand what you're going through.
Right.
And it helps. It helps, but it's not a requirement. It helps to know what someone's going through to be able to help them, but it's not a requirement to know what they're going through to help them. That is something I've been learning a lot recently. It's, especially as I've been working more with the Heart Support Masterclass stuff, it helps to know, especially even like mental health stuff, even what someone's going through, but I don't necessarily have to know it to be able to assist them. There are principles that are universal regardless of the circumstance of what is going on. And to be fair, as it says in the Bible, it says Christ was tempted greatly. He was tempted in what does it say? Let me pull this up here just to make sure. To make sure I got this right. Yes. So Hebrews 4:15, right? It says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weakness, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin." That's the NIV version, just FYI. So that's Hebrews 4:15 NIV version. And what that's getting at is the fact that, we're not talking about a high priest, Christ, who's like, I am holy and therefore have never had issues. No, he goes, no, because remember, he was tempted in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't sin. Now, obviously, other things happened. He grew up as a man in,
Right.
in human form, and he obviously had probably all those same desires that all of us have had, all of us as guys have had.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, but that's why like 4:15 is kind of important as well. There talking about, hey, he is able to empathize with our weaknesses, with our struggles, with the things that we are tempted by. Now, obviously, some of these things have changed, from the year, 30 to the year now,
Right.
but they may have changed how they look, but the change in how they tempt us in the appearance is still the same.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of having to walk to the temple to see the prostitute and be tempted by her, it's now you pull up your phone, which is now the new temple.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why that's so important to understand and realize. Christ understands us, and he has been tempted. But guess what? He didn't fall to that, unlike us sometimes as human beings. Well, a lot of times at times, it seems like. Which when you think about it, you're like, oh, I need to be filled with despair now. But in reality, think of it as this way. Think of it as hope that there is a way to go ahead and approach these things and resist them. And it's so much easier to do that when you are with community, with people who also understand those same things and are willing to get in that dirt, in that mire, and help you regardless of what it is. Because sometimes restoration is a very, very dirty business. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of evil in people's lives at times, just because of the fact that in this society, in this world, with our interconnectedness and our technology, it is so easy to just go ahead and say, pull up this website, pull up this service, pull up this, pull up this, pull up this, pull up this, pull up this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I wish I could say it's getting easier, but I know some of the stuff that's happening in certain areas that honestly would probably make the average person sick.
Yeah. Ooh, that's scary.
It is. It is really scary. And I am still in shock on some of these things still, but I some of the research papers that you read are really hard to read through. Sometimes it's like, why? But it's putting together this whole bigger picture that I've been walking through. But living in that community is going to be a good thing. It's going to be the thing that, it's going to help you as an individual, but you as that individual helps the other person as well. That's the whole point of community. It's to hold each other accountable, help each other when the going gets tough, and also at the same time, rejoice when things are going good.
Yeah.
That's the important part. So how do you avoid temptation in the world of 2021? You avoid it with community. You avoid it with accountability. You avoid it with openness and transparency. Because in order for you to have accountability, in order for you to have community, there has to be a level of openness and transparency. How do you avoid it as well? Continuing on, you avoid it with the literal fleeing from temptation, where that means locking down a computer or a phone, or maybe handing it over to a spouse or family member temporarily and say, you don't have to tell them reasons why if you don't trust or you don't have that relationship. Just like, I need you to hold it for a couple of days, whatever. Those are things that help you flee. But at the same time, it also takes integrity. It takes restraint. It takes patience. It takes practice. And it takes forgiveness. Not only of yourself, but for others who are maybe dealing with the same thing and maybe they're seeking your assistance for help. But it also takes understanding when to say, you know what, right now I can't help you because I need to get help myself first before I can help you.
Right.
And that seems selfish in a way for you to say, no, I can't help you. But in a way, it's actually more loving and more beneficial for both of you, for you to tell them, no, not right now, because I need to get better first. And there are going to be times in all of our lives, regardless of where we are and who we are, that we will have to say for a period, a season, no, I need to get better. And that's something that we're not taught enough. We're always taught, yeah, I'll help. Yeah. And
Yes,
we got to say, no, we got to back off. But we also got to learn that integrity as well. We got to learn to be the same person that we are in public as we are in private.
Mm.
And we got to learn that restraint. We got to learn to go and step away from that instant gratification culture to the point of, I'm going to wait for this.
Yeah.
Even if it takes a while. Because just because I want it now doesn't mean it's right, and doesn't mean I deserve it, and doesn't mean I get to have it. I may want it, but it may not be the right thing for now. And that's what we've lost in our culture, where we may want that sexual gratification. We may want that release, but it's not the right thing for now because it's not under the right conditions necessarily. People are going, well, I'm just, because was it out California or whatever, they're doing the whole, is it California? It's one of the states out west where they're doing, sex work is real work sort of deal. It's like, really? That's where we're moving to as a country, even here in America.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more and more popular, by the way.
Yeah. It, I guess, isn't surprising by any means. I guess I wonder what that is like around the world then, as far as that kind of stuff goes.
What, prostitution?
Well, I guess just being like an accepted work kind of thing. Because I guess I just wonder. I mean, this isn't like important, but like for this being America, we're supposed to have freedom. Is it like something that are there going to be things like that are kind of start here and work their way out versus? I don't know, kind of. So, because we're supposed to be so open and so welcoming of everything here. Supposed to be.
So here in America, except for Nevada, it's still illegal.
What? Oh, prostitution?
Yep. Selling, purchasing, or organizing is criminalized. Still, except for Nevada, that's where it's legalized. What's in Nevada? Okay. So America is actually probably, we're behind most, like there's a lot in South America. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 countries where it's purely legalized. Mm-hmm. But you go over to Australia, right?
Yeah.
2 of the, I guess you could say areas. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas that Australia's broken into.
Okay.
2, sex work is decriminalized, and 1, sex is legalized. But most of the rest of the world, it's still pretty much criminalized for the most part.
Okay.
But that being said, there's been a lot of conversations, a lot of movements recently to get that changed, and all legalized. That happens a lot.
Dang it! Which I know it's going to be allowed at some point.
Yeah,
because it's just something that everybody gets.
So you have
somehow pleasure out of.
You have an organization, Human Rights Watch, right? They are arguing for sex work to be decriminalized. Yeah. So, and sex work brings in a whole lot of other conversations, not only from the moral point of sex before marriage and paying for sex and prostitute and that, but what about sex trafficking and that? Sex trafficking is still a huge issue.
Yeah. I guess I would see that still being wrong.
Oh, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But when you start bringing that in, that conversation of sex work being decriminalized, you then got to start and wonder how's that going to impact those other things as well. Is that going to increase the demand for those other
Oh,
things?
I'm sure that would get sneaked by a lot more.
So I would like to see probably some data on both of those things and what their projections would be. But
Yeah.
yeah, any more comments that you have, Mr. Johnson?
It's tough. I guess that's yeah. There's gonna be really hard times, and which, I mean, I hope to not ever get into. I guess, but I mean, temptation's gonna come whether I like it or not, kind of thing. But something that I guess also is very important is to, be, building that foundation of being in the Word and, having that strong relationship with Christ and strengthening that is going to help make temptations, I guess easier to fight through, and having, strong community in the church. The more you take that, I just seems like, the more you take that seriously and the more you work on it now, the better and more Christ-like obviously you'll become as time goes.